Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ticket Stubs and Popcorn. I'm Frank.
And I'm Peter.
And he's Peter. So today we're going to talk about Carrie Fisher. She is kind of awesome. Carrie Fisher, fantastic actor. But before we do, I'm going to interrupt what Peter's about to say by throwing a question at you, my friend. All right, you ready for this?
All right, I guess.
Something to think about. So I want you to think of a movie. You know what a buddy film is, right?
Of course.
We all know what a buddy movie is. Yeah. So typically involving a journey, a couple people together, blah, blah, blah. So I want you to think of a movie that isn't considered like a buddy movie, but when you sort of peel the layers away, you could really just say that it's a buddy movie. All right? You got that?
Yeah.
Right, cool.
I'll be thinking about it.
You think about that, and while you're thinking about that, tell me about Carrie Fisher.
How about like and subscribe?
Yeah, they know.
Like and subscribe.
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher.
This is big. She's very, very important.
And unfortunately, we lost her too. Yeah. Which is careless on your part. She was here just a few minutes ago. You lost her.
I lost her. Yeah, my fault. She will be missed.
Carrie Fisher. If I'm going to pick 3 movies or 3 performances of hers, I may have to do what I did with Sean Connery, and I picked like one James Bond role to kind of stand for all of her movies, Sean Connery's James Bond movies. So I think I'm gonna do that again with Carrie Fisher because her roles as Princess Leia or General Leia, it embodies a lot of movies, and so I that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to pick one, and it's the character. It's the character of Princess Leia, which really kind of gave her this big exposure.
Oh God, yeah.
She had a little bit of a career before. I mean, her parents were famous, so she was in those circles anyway, Hollywood. But for herself to recognize Carrie Fisher as an actress, it would have to be these Princess Leia roles. So you could say Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back, one of the first 2 ones. That's so I'll pick Empire Strikes Back. Doesn't really matter because it's just a wonderful character, and we see her just like actually all of them, because when you see the first movie, Star Wars: A New Hope, if you want to call it that, for you younger people, it's this maturing sort of a role for everybody. Everybody kind of grows a little bit in different ways, and she definitely does. It's great that they were able to not just give her a decent role in particularly the first 2 movies, Star Wars and then Empire Strikes Back, but they were able to use her again in the later trilogy stories, 7, 8, and 9. So that was good. And then, of course, some of her roles got even meatier. There's a little more of the empowered Leia in the later ones. So I would definitely pick the role of Princess Leia throughout all those movies, and that's like such a big deal in her life. But at the same time, you almost wonder, was she ever able to get over it? Not her fault,
right?
But I meant how Hollywood looks at a person with a certain success in a certain role. Do they get typecast? We could argue that. So because of that, there's a few other movies that she's in only just as some sporadic name recognition cameo thing. You just bring her in because she's topical at different times of, depending upon the release of a certain Star Wars movie, then she becomes topical again. So we'll just set Princess Leia aside, and I'm going to say another role that I enjoy her in. It's a small role, but it's still a fairly sizable one. Is in Hannah and Her Sisters. She plays April, and she's the friend of the Diane Wiest character, the middle sister. And so when the Diane Wiest character is having her ups and downs, April is there also having her ups and downs. So they're both struggling actors, not getting roles, going out to rehearsals and tryouts, and they're trying things together. Things aren't panning out, and like all out of work actors, at least what we're told through movies, is that they're either going to be doing some kind of a food service thing or something worse. And so in this movie, Hannah and Her Sisters, Carrie Fisher, character April, she's gone into catering so they're trying to cook and serve food at these upscale, maybe posh sort of dinner party sort of things. And then she's also used in the movie as not just a friend and the confidant, but for a short time, a rival for the attention of Sam Waterston, I want to say, plays the architect. And so then there's a little bit of rivalry there. And then, so I enjoy that role. That one's not just kind of a tossing out of a role to say, oh, let's just throw Carrie Fisher in this movie, which definitely happened in her career. So I would say, Hannah and Her Sisters would be a second one. And a third pick of a Carrie Fisher role that I really enjoyed was when Harry Met Sally, and she's the friend of Meg Ryan. Sally, she's the friend there, and then the cute thing is we're following the whole on and off romance of Harry and Sally, but they were the ones who actually bring together the Carrie Fisher, Bruno Kirby, who are the best friends of each of them, and then they bring them together, and so their relationship seems to stick a little better than the Harry Met Sally. So that's a nice little that's a good role. I like that one, and I said, like I said earlier, I think sometimes Carrie Fisher got a little handicapped, not of her own fault, that that time period between the time that, say, Star Wars came out, so like 77 and I don't know, say 84, 85, any role that you would see her in was sometimes just a little cameo, just something to throw around, keep her name out there, which wasn't her fault. That was just how people would see her as Princess Leia.
Yeah, and she did so much as a script doctor and writer and stuff like that.
Oh,
she
yeah.
did a lot of writing.
She was a published author and very, she get busy. And so those are mine.
All right.
Those are mine. So like and subscribe before we get over to Frank.
To me.
And Kate, what are your
okay? So I think that
roles?
I think that Carrie Fisher is really, really interesting because I think that with the Star Wars stuff, there's Princess Leia, that role.
Yeah.
But it's the role in like the original trilogy is very different than the role in the sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah.
So
it is.
It's almost like two different roles for the same character.
Right.
And
it's the same name, but it's like a different, fleshed out better.
Yeah, because and there's a lot more responsibility for that role. I mean, for the role, not just the character. Because I think in the original trilogy, she's feisty and she's strong and George Lucas was not great. I mean, there weren't a lot of women in the original the original trilogy Galaxy. There was not a lot going on. So here you've got this young, like I said, feisty and strong woman character, and she's fantastic. And she's a fantastic foil for Han Solo and with Luke. And this is before we know the relationship.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that I would agree with the Empire Strikes Back version.
I kind of like that
Princess
one a little
Leia,
bit. Her
because
version, right?
yeah, because it's a good. I mean, the movie itself is the best of all of the Star Wars
I would say
movies.
so too.
But that one gives Leia a chance to. She gets to be a little bit vulnerable with Han Solo. You get to see that wall breaks down a little bit. She doesn't have to be the strong rebel leader.
Yeah.
She can be a little bit more. She lets a little bit more in, which I think is great. And then you've got Princess Leia in the sequel trilogies, where she is this on a pedestal character where she's just, oh my God, it's General Organa, and she's got so much more responsibility, and what she does means so much more, and she knows so much more about her past, and she's concerned about not just the future of the galaxy, but about her son and about her brother, and she's the more mature character who's just so different. She's got similar concerns, but she sort of she handles them with more control, I think. So I think that you've got Leia in the original trilogy, who's just energy and fire and just strength. And then you've got Leia in the sequel trilogy, who still has a lot of strength, but a little bit more poise and control. And I like those. So in terms of my actually picking one, we'll wait till my entire rant is over so that I can sort of synthesize it all.
What you say is it's very interesting that it sounds like you're choosing two things, which I'm sure we'll talk about more. But it's also interesting if you think about the original trilogy. She's Princess Leia by just fluke or luck of her birth. She is a princess. And the last three, she is a general.
Of her adoption.
Right. It's her skill, it's her energy, and it's this wisdom and experience that has led her to become a general, because a general is a title that is bestowed upon you because of your skill, your leadership and everything.
And most definitely.
The other one you could say is just luck, that you're titled a king or a queen or a prince or princess or whatever. So that's interesting. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't
No. That's an excellent point. So I think that the next sort of non-Princess Leia role that I would pick would be the When Harry Met Sally character, because I think that that's one of those times when, different than Blues Brothers.
Yes.
So in Blues Brothers, when she's there, it's kind of like Star Wars isn't it's a big thing, but seeing her in Blues Brothers is just like, oh, that's that woman from that Star Wars movie. That Star Wars movie. Star Wars wasn't as huge as it is today.
Its fan base was rabid, but not as big.
So it wasn't, and it was such a small part, and it gets to be insane. So it's almost kind of
does.
Look at her in a sword, just firing a machine gun.
She is with a flamethrower. There's a bazooka, a rocket launcher, a machine gun. It's like, oh my god!
It's fun to see. Like, oh yeah, hey, it's Princess Leia. She's going ballistic, shooting at the Blues Brothers. This is awesome. So there's that. But I think that in When Harry Met Sally, similar to Hannah and her sisters, she actually gets to act and have a role and do that. So and When Harry Met Sally, she is a character. It's not the cameo. She's an actor in a role, and she's moving the story along. And you're not, I think that when you're watching that, even now, people who are so familiar with Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, if they went back and looked at When Harry Met Sally, I think it's such a well done role that you're not sort of seeing her as Princess Leia.
Exactly.
And, dating Bruno Kirby.
Right.
Exactly. So it's Carrie Fisher as an actor in a role.
I agree.
And it's very, very nice. I think that after that, there are a lot of places where Carrie Fisher pops up where the role is kind of, hey, that's Carrie Fisher in a Kevin Smith movie. Hey, that's Carrie Fisher in the Charlie's Angels movie.
Fill in the blank,
that's Carrie Fisher in that Wonderland movie about John Holmes maybe murdering some people. So
she's a Bible thumper,
right? Yeah, but it's always
exactly.
It's always it's Carrie Fisher.
It's Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, and it's sort of
it's not there's a talented actress with a nice meaty role. Right. It's never that. It's always that.
It's sort of hey, it's Carrie Fisher. Hey, we got Carrie Fisher to do this thing, and I think that is. It's not like she's just sort of slumming. It's kind of fun. Yeah. And like Kevin Smith is a huge fan, so that he's thrilled to death that she would agree to have a bit part in a movie. So he's just completely psyched to have her there.
He's just geeking out.
So and again, I think like when she shows up as a nun in Charlie's Angels, it's like, oh my God, look, it's Carrie Fisher as Mother Superior. That's fantastic. Yeah. So in terms of 3 roles for Carrie Fisher, I guess I would say that the first 2 would be as Princess Leia in the original trilogy.
Yep.
As Princess Leia in the sequel trilogy, because I think that they're very, very different roles, despite them being the same. It's the same character. I think they're different enough that they are. I'll accept that they're different roles.
Yeah.
And then her role in When Harry Met Sally, Carrie Fisher is really tough to do because
she is.
She's so.
She is.
It's Carrie Fisher. And I get goosebumps just talking about her because I grew up with her as Princess Leia. I grew up with her, and it's a delight to see her in something like When Harry Met Sally.
Or just something else that's a serious role.
But she's someone that I just have so much respect for and who's just been around in my life as someone who loves movies. She's, quite frank, she's royalty. So it's really tough.
Well, she's Princess Leia.
Well, yeah. Sure, but it's really tough to just go bam, bam, bam. There's 3 roles. So that's where I stand with.
She is a tough one on the surface just to pick 3 movies because of the whole Star Wars effect.
Yeah, and it's difficult to. I mean, we do a show that's 20 minutes, a half an hour long, and to try to synthesize her and bang out a couple of roles. I mean, like we could talk about Carrie Fisher in A New Hope, Carrie Fisher in Empire Strikes Back.
Right,
each one, and they're all. I mean. Pick a favorite. Oh my God, how difficult is that?
Yeah.
And to just pick a favorite of the old trilogy. The original trilogy was difficult, but it's Empire because Empire is the best.
I agree with it.
So, and you want to treat a conversation about her with the reverence, quite frankly, that the woman deserves.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to be fair too.
Yeah.
And her career because of that. The original role of Princess Leia affected her career.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily in a typecasting kind of way.
No,
because I think that I don't know. It's not like okay, now she's always a space princess or always a space general.
No, right.
She's just. I think it's if one wanted to argue that her career was hindered by Star Wars. It is that anything that she's in makes you go, oh, I wonder what she's doing in this.
Right. It also, though, she was in a position where if she really wanted more roles, and we'll say through the 80s
Yeah.
or the 90s, I'm sure she could have gotten
some
more
definitely.
roles.
She could do whatever she wanted
But
to
she definitely used, well, it seems to me that she used that time to devote more to her writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that in turn worked out probably for her just fine.
All right. Hey, everybody, like and subscribe. Pretty please and thank you. Let's recap your three. Hannah and her sisters,
Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally,
Yeah.
and Star Wars.
You got it. And so your three would be the original three Star Wars trilogy, the later Star Wars trilogy, which is fine because it definitely is. It's definitely a good point there.
Yeah.
And then you also picked When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. So, all right. Getting back to the question, what's a movie that when you think about it, just hey, you know what? That is kind of a buddy movie.
I was actually getting into the conversation with the Carrie Fisher, the whole dynamic of that. I was getting into that one. The one that came to mind is it's a buddy film to me, but it's not really a buddy film.
Well, go ahead.
It's also like almost
case,
like
sir.
a weird love story in a way as well.
Make your case.
Okay, I want to say this is going back a little bit. Double Indemnity, which is Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray. But the buddy part is the Fred McMurray in the Edward G. Robinson character. They're like, he's the boss of Fred McMurray, but it's almost like this weird buddy film, almost like a love story. It's not like a homoerotic thing. It's just that these two guys are very close, and when the investigation is moving on through the insurance company, which is Fred McMurray works for the insurance company that Edward G. Robinson works for, and Edward G. Robinson is the boss. You can tell Edward G. Robinson wants to catch the bad guy, whoever that bad guy is, and doesn't want the insurance company to be on the hook. That's his job. So as more things are coming to light through his investigation and so forth, you could tell it's killing him, because now he's starting to figure out it's Fred McMurray. You know what I mean? And so it's this buddy film that's, I mean, the story is kind of between the Fred McMurray character and the Barbara Stanwyck character, plotting the murder, carrying it through, and then seeing where, the cards fall. But it's still this great little relationship between the Edward G. Robinson character and Fred McMurray. So it's a buddy.
Have to rewatch that.
It's like a buddy film, but it's like a love story just between two. In this case, happens to be between two men.
Right.
But it's a buddy film in a certain way, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it is and it isn't, but that's what the question is.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Do you have an example?
I do. I see a buddy film as you've got a couple of characters, and they kind of, in sort of I don't know, they kind of hit the road, they're on this journey together, and so I would think of like Finding Nemo. Because Finding Nemo, because they're, it's
I can see that.
All right, see that they're on a journey, and they're going to find
a quest,
Nemo.
as it were.
Yeah, a quest, as it were. But when you never really think of it that way. It's always kind of about Nemo kind of getting out of the tank. He's with the other fish, and then the dad is just kind of like trying to find him, and then there's Dory just kind of being there, and sort of I never really would think about that as a buddy film. But when you think about it, you take these elements of like, okay, we've got this journey, let's go on this journey, let's have some little adventures, and they've got a goal. But when you think about Finding Nemo, it's all about like kind of Dory's shenanigans
Yeah.
and them trying to get out of the tank and all that. So that I think is a buddy film that's not really a buddy film, but it's kind of a buddy film.
Very good. I just wish, if they were trying to find Nemo, I wish they could have incorporated that into the title a little better.
A little bit, yeah.
But that's beside the point.
So, anyway, so that's where we are on Carrie Fisher, folks. If you have, we'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts. I know Carrie Fisher's a much beloved
subscribe,
actor.
comment.
Yeah, definitely.
If we're way off the track, just tell us what you're thinking about Carrie Fisher roles.
We'd love to hear from you. So, who do we got next? Master of the Bucket.
Master of the Bucket. Pull a ticket stub out of the popcorn bucket.
See what we did there? Ticket stubs and popcorn. That's kind of what we did. Okay.
All right. Take a look at the old ticket stub here and see what that says. All right. Looks like I'm going to be watching some more movies.
I guess so. All right.
Good.
So everybody, thanks for watching.
Yes.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Take care.